You're not going to believe me at first, and that's perfectly fine. Because when I first heard it myself, after nearly 4 decades in urology, even I raised an eyebrow. But then I met a man named Frank. Frank is 97 years old, lives right here in Greenville. He walks every morning, cooks his own meals, and here's the part that stopped me in my tracks. He still wakes up with steel-like erections. Not once in a blue moon. Not after some pill or procedure. Consistently. Naturally. Now, I know what you might be thinking. 96? That's not possible. But it is. I've seen it. I've talked to him. And more importantly, I learned how. And it wasn't luck or genetics or some miracle from a supplement bottle. It was one spoonful. Every night. That's it. I'm Dr. Edward. I spent over 35 years helping men, just like you, strong, proud men over 55 who refuse to settle for the version of aging that the world tries to hand them. Men who know there's more life to live, more love to give, and who want their body to rise to the occasion, literally. So today, I'm going to share something powerful, something that's helped thousands of my patients over the years. A simple, natural remedy that can help restore blood flow, nourish your manhood, and bring back that quiet confidence you may have thought was lost. And don't worry, we'll get there together, one step at a time, because the truth, the real truth, is rarely delivered all at once. It has to be uncovered, like layers of story. That's why what I'll share with you today builds gradually. I'll take you from the surface to the source, from understanding why things change to knowing exactly how to reverse them naturally. But before we get deep into the heart of it, I want to invite you to stay connected. Subscribe and click the bell. It only gets more interesting from here. And tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I read every single one, and it helps me remember who I'm talking to. Real men in real towns with real questions, just like you. All right, let's begin. Let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered why some mornings you wake up feeling like a young man again, and other days there's nothing? Why does that firmness, that readiness, come and go like a guest who no longer calls ahead? You might have told yourself, it's just age. But I'm here to tell you, that's only a small part of the story. The truth is blood flow is what separates a sluggish body from a vibrant one. And when that flow slows down, when the lifeblood of your manhood is blocked or weak, everything suffers. Your energy, your mood, your confidence. But here's the secret they don't teach in medical school. The part one had to learn the hard way after sitting with thousands of men over the years. Your body wants to heal. Even at 60, even at 70, even at 97, you just have to feed it what it needs. And sometimes that begins with one spoon before bed. I'll tell you exactly what that is and why it works like a matchstick in dry wood, igniting something that's been quiet for far too long. But first, let's take a moment to understand what's really happening when your manhood begins to fade. Because once you know why the lights dimmed, you'll know exactly how to turn them back on. And the truth, my friend, is more hopeful than you could imagine. I want you to imagine your body as a garden hose. When you were younger, the water flowed freely, strong, clean, and under pressure. No kinks, no beat up. But over time, something happened. The hose didn't break, but the flow changed. Little by little, deposits formed on the inside. The pressure dropped. What once surged now trickles. That's your circulatory system after 55. And just like that hose, when blood can't move freely, the places that depend on it most, like your brain, your heart, and yes, your manhood, begin to suffer. But here's what I need you to hear today. This isn't just about age. Age is like time passing in a house. It causes some wear and tear, sure, but the real damage comes from neglect. See, inside your body, there's a silent battle going on, one that starts years before you feel the symptoms. It's the slow hardening of your arteries. It's inflammation, not the kind you see on a swollen knee, but a deeper, quieter kind that wraps around your blood vessels and makes them stiff. And when that happens, your penis becomes the first casualty because those blood vessels, they're among the smallest in your body, about the width of a hair. It doesn't take much to clog them. You ever notice how your morning erections used to come like clockwork? That wasn't just a sign of desire. That was your body's way of testing your blood flow each day, like a report card. And when they go missing, that's not normal. That's your first warning sign. I've had men walk into my office, concerned about their performance, only to discover that the real issue wasn't sexual. It was vascular. Their blood wasn't moving the way it used to. Now here's where it gets interesting and where hope begins to return. Your blood vessels are not dead pipes. They're living tissue, which means they can heal. They can soften. They can reopen, but not with pressure, not with force, with nourishment, with circulation, with natural signals that tell the body, it's time to wake up again. And that's exactly what this one spoon before bed begins to do. It's not a magic trick. It's a nudge, a reminder to your system of what it was designed to do. But before we go deeper into that remedy, and I promise we will, I want you to really sit with this idea. Your erection isn't just about sex. It's about circulation. It's about oxygen. It's about the health of your entire vascular system. So when it weakens, when it fades, that's not a reflection of your masculinity. It's a signal, a flag. Your body's saying, help me clean the pipes. Help me move again. And the truth is, most men never get that message. They chase the symptom instead. Pills for performance, energy drinks for fatigue, sleep aids for insomnia. But they never fix the flow. Now, remember Frank, the 97-year-old I told you about? He didn't have perfect genes. He had heart trouble in his 70s. He walked with a cane in his 80s. But he did something very few men do. He took his circulation seriously. And one night, when he was about 83, he started a habit, a spoonful of something his own father used to take. He didn't know the science, but he felt the difference. That's the secret I'll share with you next. Not a cure, not a gimmick, just the right fuel for the engine that still wants to run. Because your body hasn't given up on you. And once you know how to support it, starting tonight, everything begins to change. I want to tell you about a man named George. George was 72 when he came to see me. Retired firefighter, sturdy handshake, proud eyes. But behind that strength, there was something else. A quiet frustration. Not quite shame, but close. Doc, he said after a long pause, I feel like something's closing up inside me. Not just down there, but everywhere. He wasn't talking about libido. He was talking about blood flow, about sensation, about that hard-to-name feeling of being alive in your own skin. His labs looked fine. Nothing jumped out. But when he described his symptoms, cold feet, fading morning erections, waking up tired despite a full night's sleep, I knew what was happening. His circulatory system was struggling. Not enough to show up on a scan, but enough to matter. Enough to make him feel like a man slowly losing his edge. So I told him something that made him raise an eyebrow. I said, George, I want you to try one spoonful before bed. Nothing fancy. You've already got the ingredients in your kitchen. He smiled and said, what? Olive oil and garlic. Close, I said, because what I gave him was something I've been quietly recommending to older patients for years. A warm, natural blend with real biological power. One spoonful before bed. That's it. Here's what it was. Raw honey and lemon juice, stirred into warm water with just a pinch of cayenne. Now, before you roll your eyes, let me tell you why this matters. That spoonful wasn't just a folk remedy. It was a delivery system. Raw honey, particularly dark varieties like buckwheat or manuka, contains natural antioxidants and nitric oxide precursors. It supports vascular repair and helps the inner lining of your arteries, the endothelium, function better. Lemon juice is not just about vitamin C. It gently alkalizes the blood and helps the liver clear out metabolic waste, both of which make your blood vessels more responsive. And cayenne, that tiny pinch, that's where the magic starts. Capsaicin, the compound that gives cayenne its heat, is a natural vasodilator. It opens up your blood vessels. It gently increases circulation, especially to your extremities, hands, feet, and yes, the penis. George was skeptical, but he agreed to try it. Just a spoon, he asked. Every night, I said. Sip it slowly. Let it become a habit. Then talk to me in 2 weeks. Well, 10 days later, I got a voicemail. Doc, I don't know what's in that stuff, but my wife just asked what got into me. And I slept straight through for the first time in months. By the time he returned to my office, George's hands were warmer. His tone was lighter. And best of all, he begun waking up firm again. Not every day, but more days than not. What changed? His blood was moving again. That one nightly spoonful didn't cure him. It nourished him. It gave his system the signal it needed to relax, to open, to flow. And because we gave his body what it already knew how to use, not a drug, but a nutrient signal, there were no side effects. No crashes. Just gradual, powerful improvement. But that was only the beginning, because 10 days in, something even more surprising happened. George reported more sensation, not just during intimacy, but in everyday life. I feel warmer, he said, more awake, like the lights are coming back on. And that's when I knew. This little bedtime ritual wasn't just helping his blood vessels. It was helping his nervous system, his circulation, his confidence. It was helping him come home to his body again. And the best part? It only took a spoonful. So now, I want you to imagine what could happen in your body if you gave it the same signal tonight. Because part 4 is where we add the second layer, a deeper method that works alongside this one to reignite what time has slowly dimmed. Are you ready? What happened with George was only the beginning. Because a few months later, I met Leonard. Now, Leonard was different. Where George had walked in with quiet frustration, Leonard arrived with something heavier, grief. His wife had passed away 3 years earlier. Since then, he said, everything had slowed. His words, his energy, his erections, everything. It's like my body went into sleep mode, he told me. Leonard was 76. Tall, trim, well-read. A retired science teacher who had always prided himself on taking care of his body. No junk food, regular walks, good sleep habits. But despite all that, something was missing. He felt disconnected from his manhood. Not in a sexual way, in a human way. I still want to feel like I'm in this body, he said, his voice catching. But it just feels like I'm fading. That hit me hard, because I've heard versions of that sentence from hundreds of men over the years. And every time I say the same thing. You're not fading. Your body's just waiting. So I asked Leonard something unusual. Do you have castor oil at home? He gave me the same look you might be giving me now. You mean the stuff my grandmother used? That's the one. Because here's what most men don't know. Castor oil, when used externally and with intention, can reawaken circulation in ways that even modern medications often can't. It's thick, penetrative, rich in something called ricinoleic acid, a natural compound that doesn't just sit on the skin. It moves through it. When applied to the lower abdomen and groin, it helps stimulate blood flow, reduce inflammation, and soften tissues that have gone rigid with age or disuse. But it's not just the oil. It's how you use it. I walked Leonard through the method I've taught for years. Warm a small amount of castor oil in your hands. Massage it gently over your lower belly, the area just above your pubic bone. Then, take a warm cloth and lay it across the area, just for 15 minutes before bed. Don't rush. Don't multitask. Just sit. Breathe. Let the oil sink in. I told him, this isn't about arousal. This is about nourishment. And bless his heart, Leonard said, I'll try anything. Document. I just want to feel like myself again. Well, 2 weeks later, he came back. And I'll never forget what he said. Something shifted. I'm not just sleeping better. I'm waking up feeling. He described a subtle warmth in his hips, a quiet pulse returning to areas that had felt numb for years. Not like an on-off switch, more like a sunrise. What happened? The oil woke up his circulation. But more than that, it helped his nerves remember what it feels like to be alive. You see, beneath every man's skin are miles of tiny blood vessels and nerve endings that thrive on touch, warmth, and flow. When those elements return, so does vitality. And what I love most about this method is how safe it is. No pills, no risks, just an ancient oil, a warm cloth, and 15 minutes of stillness. That's it. Leonard kept up his nightly practice. Combined it with the honey lemon drink I'd given him earlier. And over the next month, the changes deepened. He started walking farther, sleeping harder, even flirting again, something he said he hadn't done in years. Not because of ego, because he felt present again, embodied, alive. That, my friend, is the real goal. Not just an erection, but a return to wholeness. And if Leonard could begin to feel that again at 76, if George could rediscover it at 72, and if Frank could still own it at 96, then so can you. In the next and final part, I'll show you exactly how to combine these methods properly, and I'll share one more powerful story that ties it all together. Because your results won't just come from what you do, but how you do it. Let's get you there together. So let's talk about how to apply these two simple methods the right way. The way I've guided countless men through safely and effectively. Start with the drink. 1 spoonful before bed. Warm water. 1 teaspoon of raw honey. Juice from half a lemon. A pinch of cayenne. Stir gently. Sip slowly. Let it be a moment, not a chore. Something you look forward to, like closing the day with purpose. Then, just before you lie down, use the castor oil. Warm a little between your palms. Gently massage it into your lower abdomen, right below the navel, just above your groin. Soft, slow circles. Nothing aggressive. This is about presence, not pressure. Then place a warm cloth over that area. Sit quietly for 10 to 15 minutes. Breathe. Let your body remember what it means to feel safe, supported, and alive. That's it. Do this for 2 weeks and watch what begins to change. Let me tell you about Arthur. Arthur was 81, a retired banker, sharp as a tack. But he lost touch with his vitality years ago. No interest, no erections. He just figured that part of life is over. I introduced him to the very same bedtime drink. Then castor oil. Simple. No pills. After 3 weeks, he called me. Dr. Edward, I don't know what kind of sorcery this is, but I woke up this morning like I was 30 again. It wasn't sorcery. It was blood flow, reconnection, nourishment, and there's science behind it too. Studies show that honey and lemon support nitric oxide, a key molecule for erections. Capsaicin from cayenne increases peripheral circulation. Castor oil penetrates deep tissue, increases lymphatic flow, and reduces inflammation, all critical for male performance. But here's where some men go wrong. They rush. They expect instant results. Or they give up after a few days because they don't feel anything. This isn't a pill. It's a practice. And like any practice, consistency beats intensity. Be patient. Let the body reawaken on its terms. Trust the process. Now, here's the bottom line. If you're over 55 and you want more of this, better circulation, stronger erections, clearer energy, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your body is still alive and capable, then like this video, subscribe, and leave a comment. Type 1 if this speaks to you, because that tells me you're serious. And it tells me you're not alone. Your body hasn't given up on you, and neither have I. Now, go make that spoonful. Tonight could be the beginning of something powerful.